Hello everyone, I hope you're having a great day. It is the Sad Pirate King here, and here are my thoughts on One Piece chapter 1009. The title is called Hell. It's a play off of last week's chapter where they mentioned that fighting both Yonkos was like being in hell, but it's also a play on the fire that's spreading through the castle, which Orochi started. And those are the two storylines that we see in this chapter. The cover looks great. I love that Thomas Teapot is there. I think maybe a nod to all the different theorists that were thinking that the fake Odin was Thomas Teapot. Also, I love the outfits that all the Straw Hats are wearing that are personalized to them. Like Zoro has three swords on his jacket, just the words three swords, which is really interesting. But overall, it's very colorful, of course, and I just always love to see Jinbei in these new cover stories now. So getting into the chapter, we see that the Red Scabbards run into Orochi and Fukurokoju, or Fuku, as how I pronounce it. I can never pronounce his name properly. And they're both shocked. Orochi makes fun of them for the betrayal of Kanjuro, but then exclaims that he's also was betrayed by Denjiro. Fuku tells Orochi to leave, that he will handle the Scabbards. Orochi says that since the castle is filled with enemies, that there's no place for him to run, and he thinks the Scabbards are weakened, so he can probably take them on. He transforms into his Yamata state, then immediately the Scabbards take off all his heads at once. It was no hesitation there. Now, I still think he's alive. It just doesn't feel like that's the conclusion here. Back when Kaido decapitated Orochi, I was 100% sure he wasn't dead. I figured that he would need to be killed in his Yamata form and have all his heads cut off at once, like here. But I'm still not convinced. I still don't think he's dead. Something that Fuku said earlier, he said, they aren't aware that you already died once. This makes it seem like he has a number of lives, like a video game. Maybe based on the number of heads that he has, that's how many lives and how many times he would have to be killed before he's completely dead. Either way, I'm just tired of seeing him. I hope he is just dead here, but I know he's not. The Scabbards then continue, but Raizo stays back to fight Fuku. This should be a cool fight. Hopefully we can actually see this fight, but by the way things are happening, I'm not too sure. There's already so many different fights going on, and most of them seem more important. I know that we won't get to see them all, but I would love to see this fight. I feel like we could get some clear Naruto shoutouts here. Then we go back to the rooftop. Kid asks Law why he can't transport the Yonko somewhere else, one of the Yonko somewhere else. Law states that if he could, he would have done so a long time ago. He mentions that their haki is just too strong, so he can't move them anyway. Now, I really don't like this. I understand it, it makes sense, but I really wish he just didn't explain it. This is the main issue with haki. It just supersedes everything and just makes Law's power feel so much weaker now. And I know that he was always overpowered and they had to weaken it somehow, but I just don't like how haki always takes away from devil fruits. He could just have not explained it and let people wonder or speculate. I mean, most people already assumed it was haki. They didn't actually need to explain it, in my opinion. Either way, we go and see Big Mom and Kaido plan to do a combined attack. This is a massive attack, and it's too fast for them to dodge. Now, of course, the MVP of this chapter, the man, Zoro, jumps in front of this enormous attack. Probably I would consider the top attack in One Piece. I can't think of another attack that would be stronger than this attack. And he just jumps in front of it and blocks it, even if it's just for a second. I know he doesn't completely block it. People are going crazy about this, but he did block it even for a second and was able to give enough time for Law to use his powers to transport them out of there. And of course, Zoro is not unscathed because of this. He is hurt. He looks like he's gravely hurt, and we'll see more of that later. But one of the things that is interesting here is we do get a confirmation that Kaido does have observation haki. He says that their voices hasn't gone out, so he can sense that they're there. Another cool thing here is that Kid is actually thanking Zoro or praising Zoro here for what he did, which I think is really interesting to see that he is coming around to liking them or kind of understanding that they're kind of a group here fighting the Yonkos. Luffy goes right in to attack right away. He's going to use Red Hawk, but Kaido dodges, and then Luffy loves this. He has this creepy smile on his face and he says, "Did you just dodge that one, Kaido? Because it was going to hurt, huh?" And I love the confidence that Luffy's getting here. he understands that he is a matchup for Kaido now. Not fully, but he knows that all he needs to do is just keep attacking, and eventually he'll come out on top, like normally does, you know. But Kaido goes in for attack himself. Luffy blocks this, but is still in pain, and then Kaido goes into like this weird. It reminds me of Shenron from Namek and Dragon Ball Z this time around, and because you can see his tail in the back kind of long like that, and then he uses a hyper beam, but then he uses this crazy attack, which I think just looks amazing. I love this spread. This is probably my favorite panel here, where Kaido uses the Ragnarok attack on Luffy, and it looks like Luffy could be out cold here again. This attack looked brutal. Then we go back to see the others planning something against Big Mom. They first take away Zeus. I like to see how they use their attacks here strategically. They were able to take Zeus away, put him in a metal cube that Kid created, and kind of take him out of the equation. Then Killer and Zoro go in to attack the other two homies. So Zoro attacks Prometheus and Killer attacks Napoleon. And I love Zoro here, even though he's just received that huge attack. He goes in and starts attacking Prometheus nonstop to make sure he doesn't help. Killer looks kind of sad here. He's just chasing Napoleon. Doesn't look that interesting to me, or it just looks kind of sad to me. And then Kid goes into attack. He shoots a bunch of spears at Big Mom. They do absolutely nothing. And then Big Mom goes into attack herself. She punches Kid, but that's what Kid wanted. Was able to get her up close and use his repel attack. Shoots her up in the air, and Slaw throws a big boulder at her. Now, none of this is really hurting her, and that's not the point. Even Big Mom herself says it doesn't really matter what you hit me with, because it's not hurting her. But it does take her out of the equation. She's now falling off of Oganeshima and falling supposedly to the sea. I don't understand how this is just could be the sea below. I thought we already saw that Oganeshima is already over the mainland of Wano, but either way, she's not going to fall into the sea here. There's going to be some sort of, maybe she's going to get caught by the Big Mom pirates, you know, with her, the pirate ship is still out there somewhere, so most likely that's where she's going to land, or be saved by something like that. And then one of the interesting things here is at the end here we see Zoro spitting out blood. We can see that he's really hurt here, and he's probably going to be out of commission soon. And that leads me to believe that in the next chapter we are going to see Luffy and Zoro out of the equation for a little bit, and having Kid, Law, and Killer go up against Kaido for a bit, which I think is really interesting to see how they work together and have a kind of a fight without the main protagonist in there for a bit. And obviously they're not going to be able to win, but it's going to be interesting to see. Either way, that was a fantastic chapter, very action-packed. I can't wait to see this in the anime. I usually don't watch the anime for different reasons, but I do love seeing certain parts. And so this is definitely a fight that I'm going to want to see. And of course, best of all, there's no break next week. So these are my thoughts on One Piece 1009. Please leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. This was the Sad Pirate King. Thank you, and stay safe.